You are now standing in front of the Church of Collias, rebuilt during the 1860s under France's Second Empire. During the reign of Napoleon III, from 1852 to 1870, the alliance between throne and altar encouraged an active policy in support of Catholic worship, which flourished once again after the assaults and upheavals of the French Revolution. Sustained by an economic prosperity that it had done much to promote, the imperial regime supported the construction and restoration of religious buildings. Its aim was simultaneously to strengthen its political foundations, respond to population growth, and proclaim the greatness and prestige of the empire. Monseigneur Plantier, Bishop of Nîmes, strongly encouraged this wave of construction, which led to the rebuilding or renovation of several churches throughout the diocese: the Church of Monduel in 1862, that of Bellegarde in 1864, Castillon-du-Gard in 1865, and finally Sommières in 1867. It was during the 19th century that the village of Collias reached its first historic population peak since its foundation, around the year 1000 or perhaps shortly afterwards. In 1861, the village had 814 inhabitants. The need for a church better suited to the size of its congregation had therefore become increasingly apparent. This explains the dimensions of the present building, which replaced an earlier sanctuary erected after the Revolution. That previous church had itself adopted the orientation traditionally required by Catholic custom. Until at least the Council of Trent, these customs required the apse of a church to face east. Indeed, the very idea of orienting a church originally meant placing it in relation to the Orient, or the rising sun. The present church, therefore, replaced an earlier building whose main entrance faced towards the castle. The site now occupied by the church square was formerly taken up by part of the village cemetery, and perhaps even by the ruins of Collias's first feudal castle. It is quite possible that both the present church and the building that preceded it had themselves succeeded the original seigneurial chapel. Indeed, a substantial 14th century document provides evidence of a church located near the Rue de la Treille. This document is a book of cens, in other words, a register recording the feudal taxes and dues owed to the neighboring lordship of Saint-Privat. The position of the church can be identified through a reference to a cemetery located nearby. Almost nothing else is known about this early church, except that it has completely disappeared. A comparable development occurred at Marguerite's, not far from here, where the former parish church of St. Peter also succeeded an earlier seigneurial chapel. During the religious civil wars of the 16th century, the village was captured by Protestant forces in 1570, and the church was destroyed. In 1620, the local lord, Charles de Gévaudan, therefore assigned his seigneurial chapel to the use of the parish. This transformation of a lord's private chapel into a communal parish church was ultimately quite common in the south of France. Similar examples can be found at Pouzols in the Aude department and at Cabrières d'Avignon in the Vaucluse. Possibly designed or proposed by the diocesan architect Eugène Laval, the present church is dedicated to Saint Vincent, like the churches that preceded it. It contains several side chapels, including one dedicated to St. Peter and St. Paul, and another to St. Claude. The building also preserves a number of remarkable decorative features. Among the most important are the murals covering the choir, painted by the Nîmes artist Jules Gaspard Rastou. These paintings decorate the apse and include biblical and hagiographical scenes, several of which are connected with the life and martyrdom of Saint Vincent. Born in Nîmes, Rastou also produced easel paintings, generally executed in oils on canvas or wood, as well as watercolors. His works reveal a careful observation of nature and everyday life. He is remembered above all, however, for his contribution to the decoration of several churches in the Gard. Among them, the Church of Collias may represent one of his most accomplished and coherent achievements. These paintings were designed to interact with an exceptional collection of church furnishings. Particularly impressive were two enormous crystal chandeliers manufactured by the Cristallerie de Paris and recorded in an inventory drawn up in 1884. Each chandelier measured more than 3 meters in height and was decorated with 40 branches made of cast and gilded copper. The glittering light projected by these chandeliers must once have enhanced the pigments applied by the painter, making their colors shimmer across the walls of the choir. Rastou's choice of warm tones, combined with the carefully rendered folds of the figure's robes and draperies, was intended to surround this remarkable furniture with a harmonious and unified setting of religious devotion. Further examples of Rastou's style can also be seen in the Church of St. Peter at Verpont-du-Gard. As for the stained glass windows, they may have been produced by Frédéric Martin, a glassmaker originally from Uzès, whose workshop was established in Avignon. The records of the parish council responsible for managing the church's property and finances show that Martin was conducting business with the parish as early as 1855. Today, Rastu's murals urgently require conservation work if they are to be saved from further deterioration. The association known as Les Amis du Patrimoine has begun the necessary procedures to ensure the protection and preservation of the church and its remarkable interior.